Good morning. Welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. My name's Lorene. Hope you're all having a really nice day. I decided to try and film on Sunday, thinking that what are they called? They're like bobcats, that they're sort of like a plow and a digger, and it spins around on tracks, one of those things for doing construction in backyards. I thought, okay, that's not running. And Steve's sander isn't running. But what I didn't account for is where the work is taking place. We've got an exit to from the basement to the backyard. So that's kind of blocked because of all the work that's being done on the failed wall. So there is a flurry of people going in and out of this house, and so doors are opening and closing, and oh my goodness. Anyways, I'm really looking forward to showing you guys what the end result is going to be. And I don't know either, because in my typical fashion of just I don't know, deciding amok, I guess. I had gone to the place where there's the stone that you choose for patios and paths and so on, and Cheryl and I, my girlfriend, she and I had kind of chosen types of what I wanted, and we wrote down a couple of names. Then when it came time to actually make the decisions, we're standing in the backyard with the landscape contractor and, describing things. And he goes, oh, such and such, and oh, such and such. And I'm thinking, yeah, okay. And then we went away on the long trip. We came back and I said to Cheryl, oh yeah, I'm not sure what stones we ordered. And she looks at her phone, I think it's these ones. And I said, I think that's not what I'm getting. So I don't know. It's going to be a surprise, and in a way, I don't care. It's like when you're faced with multiple choices in a field of stone. At a certain point, they're all stones, and the sort of pre-cast concrete things. At a certain point, they're all just concrete things. So all I wanted was the darker version of the patio stones. So it's going to be a surprise for all of us. Anyways, that's what's happening in our life. And as while that's happening, my daughter's here from Ottawa, and she went book shopping with one of her friends and came home with this book, My Murder by Katie Williams. And Katie Williams is an American author. She has written a number of books that have got quirky reviews. When other authors read and comment on each other's works, then some of the commentary have been darkly funny, deeply scary, and utterly original by Megan Abbott, from the author of Turnout. Well, I don't know the author of Turnout any more than I know from Katie Williams. So, anyhow, she has written several, and I was pretty sure there was a list in here. I'm not finding it. I think I looked it up on Goodreads just to see. And so I'm pretty sure she's the author of other mystery. I'm not sure that they're mystery, but they're idiosyncratic, let's say. So this one is definitely a murder mystery, the clue being there. And we've got a young lady who is one of the victims of a serial killer. And although some of the clues in finding out who was her murderer are a little bit different than the 4 previous murder victims. Now, this is taking place in the future, but I'm not sure how far in the future. And what they have primarily evolved is the ability to clone people. And so, the murder victim's name is Lou, who's not a murder victim. She's become cloned, but she's not become cloned as a baby. She's become cloned as basically the age she was on the day of her murder. And so she just has a little bit of a short-term memory gap happening there. And this is the part, this whole story was really intriguing. We're not sure if the serial killer killed her just because she doesn't have any memory of things. We're not sure how much memory she actually has, and it's one of those sort of amnesiac things in the sense that people cue her to what she's supposed to know, and she drifts into that fairly successfully. Then there's this weird thing of I was dead but now I'm not. And the crazy part of the whole thing is there's a support group for all of the other women who have been killed by this serial killer because they've all been cloned. So they've got a mutual support group, the 5 of them. There's the cloning company who has a vested interest in these women doing well. So they're putting some, psychologists and money and so on behind this to support it. And so we've got an ongoing mystery in the sense of these ladies are trying to figure out all kinds of things. Why did he murder me? Why me? Just all these kinds of esoteric questions in a sense. But then there's people who are not convinced that the serial killer is the serial killer. So it's a very interesting story. There's all kinds of what shall I say? It's very psychological. Now, I didn't find it particularly scary the way the front blurb did. What I found really disturbing was the cloning part. There's a surprise twist at the end. Initially we're set up to believe that so-and-so might have been the murderer of Lou, but then things kind of evolve, and I think, okay, could it be that other person? But that's not terribly logical, but the only kind of obvious thing that's left. And but then we come up to the actual final ending, and it's quite surprising. But what I couldn't sleep last night or the night before, whenever it was, and what disturbed me more than anything was the cloning, because I just thought, are her memories if she is a completely new entity? The body of Lou is in a ground somewhere, and so then my head's going like, how are they going to bury the second one when she eventually dies? And what's her aging process going to be like if she's cloned? Like, she hasn't aged 38 years or however old she was. She's basically a newborn. So does that mean she's going to get an extra 38 years at the end? Anyway, my head couldn't cope. I had to get up and read another book that was way less complicated. So I do recommend this book. I thought it really had some interesting stuff going on. I didn't find it particularly creepy. I more just found it like, I'm going to just stick with disturbing. I found it a bit disturbing. So, and if I come across Katie Williams, I think she's an author who I'll earmark to follow up on maybe in the winter or the new year. I'm not sure, but if the other writings that she's done are as intriguing, there's a word that starts with a Q-U, quioxic, then I'm gonna follow up. The other murder mystery I read was, there's a bit of a glare there, sorry. Every Time I Go on Vacation, Someone Dies, by Catherine Mack. And the premise here is that we've got Eleanor Dash, who is an author, who went away to Italy when she was 10 years younger than she is in the book. And she sort of fell in with a bit of a con artist, and between the two of them, they solved a jewel heist. Yeah, it was a jewel. Was it a jewel heist? Pretty sure it was a jewel heist. We don't go there too much. Her sort of partner in solving, his name is Connor Smith, and she comes home from America having had this experience, and decides to write about it, sort of journal it. But instead of journaling it, it just ends up turning into more of a novel. And so when it's all over, about 9 months later, she realizes she's got a book on her hands, and so somehow she manages to get it published. And she's changed all the names and places except for Connor Smith, because she couldn't envision him as anything other than himself. So what ends up happening is Connor Smith sort of comes out of the blue and says, hey, that's me, I'm entitled to royalties. You haven't asked my permission, da-da-da-da. So he's also got a couple of things that he can blackmail her about. So Eleanor is kind of stuck with Connor. And so we don't see the 10 years between the publishing of the book and the start of this story. But what her shtick is that she writes like Murder in Rome or Vengeance in Venice, those kinds of titles. And so she's written about 9 other books, and she's about to write the 10th. And she decides that she's going to get rid of Connor Smith. Only literarily, except he thinks literally, because he's overheard some of her discussions about, how could I kill him? How could I get rid of him? How could the author not get caught? Like, so she's trying to find the invincible murder, but only for the book. He misinterprets it. So we've got, then we actually start to get some attempts on Connor's life. And so it's just this kind of slapstick attempts at resolution. Who's going to believe who? So she's on a book tour now with Connor and her sister, who's her administrative aide, and some other authors, and just it's a nice roundup of other people on this book tour, and it's taking place in Italy, where the whole story began. So I haven't really given away any plot points. I've given away a bit of setting, which this is not a deeply written book. This is very much a lighthearted, slightly underwritten book. There were a few times where, although the chatter between the different characters was funny, it was also not much more complex than you would see on like a TV series of some sort. Like I'm thinking Friends, that kind of banter back and forth. So it's got that lightweight banter. There's not a lot of deep thinking going into anything. Eleanor continues to try and figure out the plot of the book, where she's going to actually write him off. But then she starts to think, oh, wow, like every time I come up with a great idea, something bad happens. So she starts to sort of magic think, I might be killing him off. So it's funny. I wouldn't rank it the best. No, I'm going to say it's of its ilk. And I think that one of the reasons I bought this was we were, as you know, we were traveling across Canada to all these different bookstores, and nearly every single bookstore had this, on a prominent display in some kind. And I thought, that's just so weird that everybody would. And it's not a nomination for any prize, and certainly not a nomination for the Mystery Writers Award sort of thing. So eventually I thought, this is not the kind of cover that I go for as a rule, because, I'm sorry, there's a glare. You can tell what you're going to get. It's a beach read. And so I just thought to myself, I don't know, am I in the mood for a beach read? And I thought, well, when I get back, if all things go south in terms of timing and all, it'll be a fine book to take with me to the camp. And we always get a heat wave in August. And I thought, okay, I'll read it. It's my heat wave book. But when we got back, I was kind of desperate. Everything I had was, I was just so unsettled. And so I thought, okay, I'll go for the lightweight book. And I did enjoy it. Now, she has, Catherine Mack is the pseudonym for, what does it say? I don't know what she doesn't say what her real name is. This book has actually got TV rights, and it's being sold to Fox TV. I don't know when that will be aired. I have no idea. I don't know when this was written. But as I'm reading the back, I'm also seeing that she's part-time Canadian. And I think that's one of the reasons I first came across it, because it was in BC where I first saw it. So maybe her book agent was doing her thing. Copyright 2024. So, I wouldn't think that the TV piece would be coming out much before 2025. Anyways, that's it for me. I don't have any other mystery books, and I'm going to take this quiet time and just read a different book, completely different. It's all about fairies. I hope all your reading dreams and adventures continue to come true, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye for now.